So here's what happened. Last year, I applied to this random school that no one's heard of, got rejected, then reapplied, although it was a lot more stressful the second time around. This was a 4-minute recap of the worst day of my first year university experience. I can't believe that my first and only breakdown on campus was not even because of school. But I cried outside my lecture hall, almost cried talking to the secretary, then left her office and proceeded to cry in the washroom in the general science building. And overall, just not a good time. Then, after everything, I finally received my decision.
What's going on?
You guys have been nervous? I'm so proud of you!
Then, I hopped on a plane, skipped my chem final, and went to San Francisco for Minerva's information weekend, where I met other admitted students and learned a lot about the school and how they learned. What really stood out to me was how the Minervans interacted and how it felt to be there. It's a really small school, and the community there is just so special, and this was my main takeaway from the weekend and eventually played a large role in my decision-making process. Eventually, the weekend came to an end, and I had to get back to school to finish my finals. So I got back on a plane, fell asleep a few hours later during my life sci final, struggled through the last set of exams I am ever going to have to endure, got home, made a pros and cons list, took a really long shower, and finally made the decision to enroll at Minerva. Hey, I'm Inez, and I'll be going to school in San Francisco next year. And after that, I'll be going to Seoul, Hyderabad, Berlin, Buenos Aires, London, and finally Taipei. And I'm super excited. The school I'm going to is new and very different from traditional universities, so I have my brother here to help me explain it a little bit because he just finished his 3rd year at Minerva.
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Ben. Quick background, Minerva just had our first graduating class this year in 2019. The whole point of Minerva was that it was created to rethink higher education. They think there are lots of problems with traditional education in universities, and some of the problems that they identified is the encouragement of rote memorization as opposed to application. We don't have any exams to take away the whole encouragement of rote memorization stuff. So instead, all our marks come from assignments and in-class participation, where we have to talk in class and apply the stuff that we learned through our readings from before class. Anyway, that's just all a bunch of boring stuff, but some cool parts of Minerva is we get to travel within the 4 years, but also it is, although an American university, it's kind of designed to be an international school. And what that means is in, for example, my community of about 150, 140 people, we have people from around 60 different countries. You get to learn a lot of really cool stuff that you would have never knew. And you might be wondering, why do we travel? The whole idea is that in this increasingly globalizing world, it's kind of not useful at just knowing and understanding one culture. So they want us to really experience what it's like to not only see the world, but the people that live around the world. So that's kind of the whole idea. Another special part of Minerva is that we take all our classes online, and now you're thinking, oh my god, that's a fake school. Yes, I know, we know, people talk about this all the time. But the thing is, we have a platform that they designed specifically for Minerva. It's called the Forum. And again, it's like a big Google Hangouts, and there's 18 students for every one professor in the class. You talk about the stuff you learn, which is always more fun, in my opinion, than listening to a person talk for 3 hours in front of 300 other students. And the reason I chose the school is, first off, I don't know, it just sounds really awesome, right? Like, there's a lot of risk involved because I would be the second graduating class of this university. But I figured, I don't know, it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like, when have you ever been offered an opportunity to have a bachelor's degree, but also get to travel to 7 different countries and meet people from 60 different countries around the world while you're at it? Like, that's crazy. I do believe in the school and what they're trying to do, because I don't agree with the traditional education system. I think it's very ineffective for most people. And I enjoy it a lot. I think it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I get challenged a lot, but it is just such a unique opportunity and not one I could pass up on. And obviously not one that she could either, so.
Okay, so thank you
Mm-hmm.
for the explanation. I will explain the rest myself.
Okay,
Okay,
peace.
bye. The main reason I chose to go to Minerva is how global the student body is. So what that means is I'll be surrounded by students from so many different countries and communities and be able to learn from their perspectives and experiences and just gain so much more from being at school than I would from traditional universities. Obviously there's benefits to every school, but what really distinguished Minerva for me was the opportunity to gain a more open and informed mindset. In terms of the actual curriculum, that's what drew me in as well. So like Benjamin said, it's really untraditional, and although I don't really like the fact that we have to have our classes online, I understand that that's the only way for us to be as involved as we will be. So the system we take our classes on is able to track how much we speak, and that way they'll be able to make sure everyone is equally active during class. Also, I'll be marked on everything I say during our discussions, so that means I have to really think about my responses and apply all the concepts that we're learning and get into the habit of using what we're learning in my everyday thinking. Also, even though we only have 3 hours of class a day, we're always very engaged in our classes, and I feel like that's a lot more productive and a lot more effective in terms of my learning. As well, I think this year especially, I've really come to realize that maybe traditional education isn't for me. I've kind of felt this way through elementary school and into high school, but I think near the end of high school I kind of forgot and just got used to it. But this year has really solidified it for me that traditional education doesn't really leave space for us to be creative and to think for ourselves. So I don't know if this is just a science thing, but this year I feel like I haven't had to think for myself, because there's always an answer that will get you a higher grade. There's always a certain way of thinking that will help you do better, and I just don't want to get into the habit of that. And obviously this is not what the education system means to do or is intended to do, but it is ultimately how it ends up teaching us. At Minerva, their approach to teaching is very different, and the way they want you to show that you understand is for you to apply it to something that's relevant to you or that's interesting to you, so you have just a lot more flexibility in terms of how you want to apply those concepts you're learning. Obviously, if I want to specialize in computer science or art, music, just something very specific, Minerva isn't the right school. It's more conceptual and just big picture thinking. But in terms of training my mind and being able to think more critically, this is where I would be able to gain the most. In terms of my program, I don't really know what I will be doing yet, but Minerva is a liberal arts college, which means that I don't have to make my decision until the end of second year. But what I do know is that I won't be going into science. So me deciding to leave MAC was a decision I made independently of me going to Minerva. I actually decided that I wanted to transfer out of science a month into second semester because I realized that even though I used to like it, science really isn't for me, and I just didn't see a career path it could lead into that I would enjoy. So it was a combination of me not being able to see myself doing a job in science in the future, and also me really just not liking my program. But I decided to leave MAC because it was really med-based and research-based, and that's just not what I want. And I wanted to be somewhere where I could explore the arts and social sciences, which is where my interests are at the moment. So yeah, I decided to leave MAC before, and then I was looking into different schools and eventually chose Minerva. What I'm interested in right now is international development, and I'm hoping to go into that at some point in my life, not right after I graduate. But I think being at Minerva, I'm really excited to work with civic partners in different cities to really understand the struggles and problems in each city, and that way I'll be able to be more informed and also maybe narrow down the issues that I want to be able to work on in the future. Overall, I really like Minerva because of their approach to teaching. The opportunities they provide are really unique, including being able to work with civic partners in each of the cities I go to. But mostly I'm going because of the students I'll be surrounded by. I'll be able to learn from them and from their experiences and just grow so much more than just like in an academic aspect. So I'm really excited to be going. If you have any questions about the school, I know it's really complicated, definitely message me. I would be glad to talk to you about it, although obviously there's still a lot that I don't know about the school. I'm super excited to go on this new adventure and to leave ISI. If you're interested to know why I made the decision to leave MAC, I'll be posting a video on that in 2 weeks, just explaining my experience and why I'm so glad to be doing something else next year. If you have any questions, again, please message me, and thanks so much for watching.